Exercise is not a weight loss program. Cardio is not necessary for fat loss. Carbs are not the enemy.
One of the best ways to improve your hip mobility that doesn't require stretching, get up off your ass and walk around.
There is no magical fat burning zone, only poor habits and a poor diet.
What is golf fitness? It is a program designed to make your body better at the game of golf. Squat, deadlift, press, pull, and rotate. This will make you better at golf. It'll make you better in all aspects of your life.
Welcome to the Shoot It Straight podcast.
Oh, we're going right in.
We always go right in.
We're just picking up squat.
Time.
Well, no, this we had like other shit going on, and then you're just like, oh, let's go, and you sit down, and you immediately say it. So hey, let's go.
I'm here for that. I just like the 4 minutes in the beginning of every podcast that you just fast forward through. It's like, no, let's go.
Why people like shuffling their papers around? Like, what am I doing? Like, hey, did you like close the door? Like, yeah, it's annoying.
Oh, what kind of podcast do you listen to? I don't listen.
So some people like us that are starting a new one.
Really?
But now we're like on episode, like what episode is like 30 or something at this point?
No, this is honestly 25, 26.
Okay, 30 wasn't that big of an exaggeration then.
Well, I know, but like we're infants. We're babies.
Oh yeah.
We're babies.
I mean, I was listening to Mind Pump today. What are they on, like thousands?
Plus
Yeah.
2,500. Isn't that wild?
And they've gotten a lot better. I gave Mind Pump some shit because I used to get really annoyed by them, but they're actually really good.
They're really good. You did. Thank you for saying that out loud.
I listened to them today. They gave me an idea that I immediately had to call one of my. So shout out to Mind Pump. Like they gave me an idea, and I immediately called one of my clients. I was like, "Hey, we're gonna try this new program because of something they talked about that I did myself before, but like it just reminded me that it's a good way to train." So
yeah, I mean, I'm here for like following the cool people in the fitness industry and giving people like them a shout out that are actually like putting good stuff.
yeah. So if it doesn't work,
there,
I'm also gonna be like, "Fucking Mind Pump, those fucking guys."
Yeah.
And I just dropped the F-bomb like twice. I noticed that our podcast has an explicit label next to it. It has that E on there. That doesn't mean explicit. Oh, you put that?
Yeah, I produce our show, so yes, I did.
Oh, I thought like the AI robots like heard us and they're like, yeah, no, they need explicit labels.
No, you label your own stuff.
Oh, see, so it shows how much I know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the alternative would be we say terrible words and then someone reports you or whatever. I mean, yeah, or maybe there is an AI robot at this point that would tell us that we're not appropriate, but I don't care. But yeah, I put that when you set up your podcast, that's basically a thing that you select is.
Okay. Because like I was going through them, I'm like, man, all of them are that explicit. I was like, I don't remember even cursing on that one.
I know it always sounds so like it's really like black or white. There's not like PG-13 ratings or anything like that.
Yeah, like YouTube is like, YouTube's like, is this for kids? I'm like, yeah, but it's like not.
It's
like,
not. You press no.
Is there going to be anything wrong with a kid watching this? But
yeah.
No, but like it's not. It's a workout video.
That's
like,
not what it's asking.
It's not for kids. It's not Nemo or
right.
Lightning McQueen.
Right.
Like it's
because when they suggest videos and ads and stuff like that, like that's why they have that built into their
learning
system.
So much.
I know, me too. Every day, it's constant. Today, like this actually feels good to just sit here and chat because like I spent how many hours just staring at SEO analytics and trying to figure that shit out.
And I got a new computer. I got a Mac. Like, and it's like I didn't even have a computer. Like Erika was like, "What computer did you have in college?" I was like, "Didn't have one." I went to the library, and then she's like, "Okay, well, what about your first job?" I was like, "We had a computer at work that everyone shared." So I worked in the restaurants. Like we all shared one computer. Like I didn't take my work home. Like I didn't need to like go home and do anything. Like it was all at work, and then I was done. For the most part.
That made me ponder for a minute last night. I was just kind of thinking about that, and it's really kind of cool, but also like I don't want to say it made me sad, but I think you said something yesterday where you were like, "Do I deserve this?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course you deserve it."
Well, it's a big fancy computer. I was like, "Damn!" Like that's. I was like, "We're about to drop this kind of money on a computer."
For those listening, it's an iMac. It's a pretty basic iMac. Now, yes, those computers
advanced
are
to me.
Expensive. I think guys, we've been running our businesses on, I've been using exclusively for 5 years a Chromebook, and you as well for the last 3.
Well, in Austin, I bought that computer, that Chromebook for $100 off Amazon. I used it for years.
So that's what I'm saying. We've been using Chromebooks, building our businesses on Chromebooks for 5 years combined.
Yeah. And iPhones.
And iPhones, of course, a big part of that. But I just think that that's an important thing to talk about because I think people can get in the way or get like, just, it's like anything else. It's like golf. buying the fanciest new thing, spending the most money on blah, 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 blah.
Oh, well, I bought the very expensive golf clubs.
I know, but maybe not interrupt me and like let me get this like story and this thought out. But like the point is, it's like you can have the fancy bike, you can have the fancy golf clubs, you can sit there and try to buy all the fanciest equipment. But we literally have started a podcast, launched a YouTube channel, multiple YouTube channels, coach hundreds of thousands of people, coach hundreds / maybe thousands at this point people. We've touched thousands of athletes, not hundreds of thousands. That's not true. For 5 years on really basic, like spending a lot less money on tech than I think a lot of people might think that they need.
Right.
And or distract themselves with, where it's like, oh, I'm going to come buy this fancy thing and that'll make me the next like whatever. And it's like really at the end of the day, you just got to get the work done and be consistent and work on things every single day.
Yeah.
And you can be successful in business. And it takes time, but it's legitimately not about the sexiest equipment.
Right. I mean, when we built our home gym in our garage in Austin, remember I used to just write people's workouts on that board? And then the way I would save them is I would just take a picture because like I'd write down how much weight we did and how many reps and so on and so forth. And I would just take a picture of it afterwards. And I'd like bring that picture up next week and, rewrite the next workout. And then someone was like, hey man, you should try this. James Quigley was like, hey, you should try this True Coach app. It's way easier. And I was like, no, I like it old school. And then I pondered it for like a week and I was like, wow, this is how you do it. I'm like, this app is like
level up,
game changer.
And now even since then, I mean, so much like has come so far with even our apps and the app we use now for our like Train Heroic. Shout out to them for what we use for our programming is fucking.
It's phenomenal.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like very intuitive. It's like, oh, make sure you put how many reps in here and do they need a rest period? Like, oh yeah, you got to put in the rest period. It's like, it's
yeah,
great.
It's been cool. And it's been cool working with all the like even like some of the AI technology and stuff like that, like kind of doing some copywriting for us and all of that good stuff. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. So back to the point though, it's cool. Good for you for getting a real computer. A desktop computer is really nice for us to have. Looking forward to that for both of us as far as like content and video editing and stuff goes. But yeah, I think you deserve it. It's definitely
it is pretty too. It looks nice.
Investing back. Yeah, it looks good in the office.
It's right behind the camera, so like people people like watching like what it's like right there.
Yeah, and now we have a podcast. I mean, this is like our legitimate podcast studio too, which is really cool.
And it's also Squat's area to relax.
Yeah, and stay tuned for our backdrop. We'll be switching that up for people that watch that aren't just listening. We're going to be getting something made up in the works that's going to be really fire. It's going to look badass.
Yeah, we've got a lot in the works.
Yeah, so a lot of things are happening. It's been
so many things.
Really fun and cool. I feel like things happen very quickly, like week to week. There's like more and more and more and more. So anyway, it feels good to just sit here and podcast and chat. But today we're going to talk about a really fun topic.
Yeah, I think this is a great one since you are a good example of what we're going to talk about here.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Was that like a good like was that a hook?
That was a hook. Look how good
Are you guys interested now? Like, are you really interested in like what we have to talk about today?
No, but we are going to talk about how women and men should train and if there are differences in how women and men should train. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, like we've talked about this, like we get a lot of our ideas from like people in the real world, like asking questions and like, when a question's asked like multiple times, it's like, okay, let's address that. This wasn't just a one-off. Like, so I posted a workout the other day saying it was free. You could download it. If you really want it, you can still send me a message. I'll send it to you. But multiple people are like, well, is this for men or women? Like, who's this workout for?
Whoa, you got that question.
Yeah, I told you that. They're like, well, who's it for? Like, could you write one for women or could you write one for men? Like, I guess it was assumed that it was for men because I'm a man, I guess. So like women would be like, hey, do you have one for women? That was asked probably 3 to 5 times.
Okay, so that's a decent amount of times. I say 2 or more, honestly, becomes like people are thinking it.
Because 2 outspoken people said it when multiple, probably the larger amount sitting there quiet and watching, Sure. So yeah, it got in my head enough to like, want to make a podcast, and I made a post about it or a thread or whatever you want to call that. And it's like and I put like that there are no exercises for men or women. there are exercises for humans who have a certain goal.
I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on it for a second. I'm really blown away that people are still asking
Really?
that question.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like when I first started as a personal trainer, again, like this was a long time ago. I would sit there and be like looking up like workouts for women. There's a shitload of workouts for women.
Oh, I know that. I know that. Well, listen, let me back up. I know that. I've
Yeah.
been, this is kind of related to this. This will be a good conversation, I think, because I've been like going down the spiral of fitness influencers recently. Like I don't pay a speck of attention to any of that shit. I don't follow
Right.
any of them, but I found an account. I'm not going to really talk much about it, but he basically calls out some of these fitness influencers, and I really like what he's doing because they're all fake. They're all like doctoring their pictures, and a lot of the bodybuilding space is a really it's a weird underground like culture world that I truly don't know a lot about. I really don't. But I do know that on Instagram that that's who's putting out a lot of the content. They've all got hundreds of thousands of followers. They have curated pictures. They edit their own pictures, like yada 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 yada. And so I am very aware of them marketing the booty bands to the women, the long and lean. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I get it. I know that there's a lot of marketing that is pushed to women, but I guess the other part of me is like, I've been training my whole life, and I've never really like felt like I needed a different, even before like I did my barbell training and strength training when I met you 5 years ago. Like even back in the day though, it was like I would run with the boys. I would go to HIIT workouts with the boys. Like it never, ever, ever would I never would have thought I needed to work out differently than the guys I was training. Like so that's just like, to me, like getting women, especially golfers and athletes that play at a sport that men also play. Like it's not like they're ballerinas or whatever, which shout out to male ballerinas too, but like, whoa, like that really blows my mind. Like truly.
in the first gym I ever was a trainer at, it was a Gold's gym. And inside of it there was a lady. So inside the gym there was a room that was the ladies' Golds. Did you ever see that before?
I've seen those. You and I, or was it a Planet Fitness? Or I've seen those separate
like
rooms.
a ladies'
It's bizarre.
area.
Yeah. It's a little bizarre to me,
and when you would go in there, it was like just machines, like no free weights, like the colored dumbbells, more bands.
Yeah.
And there was like a mirror and like the bar, like the what am I trying to say? Like the
bar.
The bar. It's literally called bar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like, or like they had the Pilates or whatever it was over there, and like men can benefit from that just as much. But that was like the ladies' workout room. Like men weren't allowed in there. So yeah, so like that question came up several times.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's no difference really, right? Like we're just training for your desired outcome. Now, are we different? 100%.
Right. Correct.
Like.
Yes.
But you're stronger than a lot of the men I've worked with.
Right.
And I've met men that are more mobile than you are. So like,
Right.
that's typically like the thing is like women are more mobile, men are stronger. Men have more power. Like, but it can all be different. Like there's outliers in both of those.
There was a guy that had a video. It was so good. It was like him doing men versus women or in the gym or something or work. No, he was like coming up to a machine after a woman at the gym, and it was a funny joke. He walks up to like the arm, like let's just lat pull down on the cable machine, and he's like woo, like pulls it really fast because it's like really light, like all the arms are really light, and then he goes to do like that. Just like your post this week, he was doing like the adductor and the adductor, and he's like, oh, like he can't move it because like the women's legs, like women's lower bodies are actually really strong. I'm not going to say that women can like out squat men or whatever, but like we
some of the men I know
ton
can
of lower body endurance, like we can crush. But I just thought that video was really funny.
Right, and then like the anatomy, like your hips are just like can get in better positions than like a man's hips,
Yes,
so like
sure.
if you're trained, like you're just going to be naturally a little bit better at some of these movements, right?
Yeah.
So like but yeah, so like we're just going to train for our goals. Like typically men need to work on more mobility. They need to spend more time on it, where women can kind of maybe just like kind of warm up and like be pretty mobile. Women are typically they can be more like hypermobile, so like they're not like strong throughout their entire range of motion, which can get you in some trouble, like as a golfer. Like I think they say like that Nelly Korda like might be a little hypermobile, and like her swings like can get her in some trouble one day. But she's pretty strong too, so I doubt it.
I was gonna say she seems like
her swing. She's like perfect, but So I mean, but it was interesting, and it takes me back to when I was training a like they're teenagers. Okay. Excuse me. I had to get squat. Okay. So I was training some teenagers at a country club. Both of them, are golfers, and the girl's a couple years older than the boy. And I remember one of the first things she said to me. She's like, "You're not gonna train me like a girl, right? Are you gonna train me different than my?" I can't remember exactly what she said. She said something about like,
you told me.
Yeah, she said something like,
that.
"Are you gonna train me different than my brother?" Or it was something like that. Are you gonna train me like a girl? And him like she asked like straight up like day one. She's very smart, and she's a few years older. So like and he was like 14. I think she might have been or 13 and 15 or something like that. They're a couple years apart. And girls mature faster, right? So like she's actually probably. I was like, you actually might do more advanced stuff than him. He's still a little bit younger. Like he's still like changing and things like that. I was like, so you actually might do more than him. Like, so I actually think I had her like squatting and he was like, doing like split squats at first or something like that. And she like had been in the gym a little bit more than him, I think. So
totally.
Just for the sheer fact she's older. But I was like, but pretty much I was like, you're going to do different exercises because of your skill set. But like, no, like you guys are going to train like athletes and you both want to play golf. Like golfers need the same stuff.
Totally.
You need to hit the ball far and, be strong in certain positions and just be an overall athlete. So
totally.
Yeah. So it was interesting, so it's around there, right? Like it's just and I don't know if if this had happened to her before where someone did train her like a girl, and I'm doing air quotes if you're just listening, like a girl, but no, that's not what I believe. And that's not what I do.
Yeah, no, this discussion is just so interesting. I remember my first experience with a personal trainer. I don't know if I shared this with you. It was at Bodysmith in DC. I was dating a guy that worked there, but he put me in touch with another guy, Kenny. I think I told you the guy that would coach me in boxing. He was like the first guy I ever like actually worked like one-on-one with as a personal trainer. Because again, I like did fitness or whatever, but I was like, I want to work out with like a trainer. And I remember he kicked my ass and he literally like literally beat the shit out of me with the workout. I remember feeling, and that was probably back in the day when like that was the cool thing to do as a trainer, but also boxing, like #boxing is so hard. But I say that to be like, again, like there was no ifs, ands, or buts how he was training me. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was a woman. Like he trained me as if I was one of his guys coming in training to go into the ring. Cause I remember, I mean, it was a hard workout, but it also was like, there was nothing about the fact that I was a woman that came up in conversation whatsoever at all. Mm-hmm. It's more about like, well, let's just see what you can do. What are your goals? Like whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy. But and again, this goes back to the industry itself, marketing to women. I mean, I do, that is so very prominent. I still see that. I still see these influencers telling women to use booty bands on a yoga mat and saying that they get their super developed strong glutes that they're showing on their pages from doing those exercises for 5 minutes a day. And it's just like,
right.
Fuck, man,
It sells.
It does sell. And to this day, getting women to just strength train is challenging because of that and getting women to overcome that. And the same can be said about men doing more what feels like a female type of a workout, whether it is like going a lot lighter with your weight and doing more mobility and working on that kind of stuff. I'm sure like you see that a lot with your clients, but so it's not to label things as male and female type exercises, but it is more about like finding what it is that your goals are and what your weaknesses are,
right,
and correcting for those.
Right.
But yeah, here's to training the exact same.
Well, like I just remember training some women, like years ago before I started like working with golfers, like when we're pretty much just working on like body composition. The women would typically like not want to do like biceps, but they were cool doing triceps. And I think, and the reason being right is that women hold body fat in their triceps, like the back sides of their arms, right?
Oh, this?
Yeah. So they were cool with like thinking that I can do a tricep exercise and I'll get rid of that fat.
Oh, okay.
But if I do
that, fat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But then if I do a bicep, well, no, I'm gonna have big arms.
That's correct. Yeah. Oh, people are so
when the tricep
funny.
is the bigger muscle of the arm, right? So like if you're gonna have bigger arms, like you got to make sure your triceps, But yeah, so like and it'd be wild stuff like that, right? And then there's like like the spot training. So like that's why I kind of got out of doing bodybuilding type splits and things like that for clients.
Right.
And for a plethora of other reasons, like why I don't love training that way anymore. But I still think it has value. But yeah, it was just, so there's so many things like, out there. And if you had like a woman doing like a bench press or something, right? There was the, oh, I'm going to lose my boobs, or I don't want to be big. Like, like there's just, it's probably still out there. This wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. So to summarize, to bring this all home, for one, men and women don't need to train differently. People need to train differently based on their goals.
And they're like prerequisites, but yeah.
And lastly, by the way, always reminder, you can't spot treat fat. You can't spot treat where you hold body fat.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women do hold body fat typically in different places on their body.
Right.
You can't spot treat that. You can work on your body fat through nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to lose overall body fat. And you can spot treat where you do your strength training to get hypertrophy, which I think you want to talk about next, is like bodybuilding, right?
Right.
So you can target certain areas with hypertrophy exercises or strength exercises.
Right.
And make muscles bigger. You just can't make your fat necessarily smaller in specific areas on the body.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think like what, I don't know if stereotype is the right word, but people just kind of identify with certain workouts, right? Like men want to be big, so they do bodybuilding and powerlifting, and like, and then there's a large percentage of men that want to be big, and there's a large percentage of women that want to be small. So women just kind of all go do one workout, right? Like they kind of just like gravitate towards like yoga, or they, and they're good at it, right? They have like good flexibility because they're naturally more mobile. So women will want to do more yoga because it's easier for them. I mean, not easier. Yoga's hard, but like it feels
true.
More like natural.
There
right?
are certain body types for certain sports. We've talked about this before.
And so men like are naturally a little bit stronger and more powerful, so they want to be like a bodybuilder or a powerlifter. It's that masculine, like rah, like I want to be huge, right? So like that's just kind of like what's been around for, I don't know, 100 years or whatever it is. Like, so, but it doesn't mean anything, because if you have a goal in mind, you need to train for that goal.
Yes.
And whatever the best way for you to get to that goal is, whether it's golf, whether it's physique or powerlifting, or if you want to be great at yoga, like that's what you should train for.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. So if you're out there wanting to like for people really wanting to totally change their body type, or if you're somebody who's out there looking at these wafy girls that are really good at bar and yoga classes, just know that while you can manipulate your body composition, it takes years to do that, depending on how far you have to go, depending on how big the transformation is.
Mm-hmm.
But B, know that these people in these sports, whether it's powerlifting or bar class or Pilates or swimming, typically are going to gravitate towards a sport that their body works
Right.
for them. And that's how they ended up there. So it's not that sport turned their body into X. It's the other way around. It's, actually, I'm really good at this, so I'm going to keep at it.
Right.
I mean, it's just, same thing with running. Like running kind of came natural for me. Like you went into strength training, that came natural for you. Your legs are big.
Right.
They got bigger because you liked strength training and you liked squatting. And so that's just going to be your body versus my body versus everybody else has like their thing. So it's important to just kind of, because I feel like we resist our body so much too. And while I think there's a ton of value in like, I'm all about like having body goals and like being cool with like wanting to change your body, I think that you can have that and also appreciate your body for what it is. Acknowledge that it's not going to necessarily change completely and transform into some other human being that's 3 inches or 5 inches taller than you or whatever. And just keep that in mind, like when it comes to just expectations, I guess.
Right. I mean, I think every single time I play golf with someone new and we talk about sports, they ask me if I was a wrestler.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just look at me and you're like, oh, you would have been a great wrestler. I'm like, no, actually, I was center for my high school basketball team and we won state. They'd be like, nah, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, you're 5'6". Like, so, right. Like, and then if a tall guy walks in, like, oh, you must have been a wide receiver, you're a basketball player or something like that. It's just, naturally that's what we were going to do. And then you train for that sport, right? So like if you're going to be a basketball player, you don't need to be massive.
Totally.
I mean, like bulked up, right? But if you're a football player, you need to be a little bigger because you got to take hits, which, the way they used to play basketball is a little different now. So I think they used to be a little bit bigger. But the point is, you were naturally drawn towards something because that's what you were already like given.
Yes.
Like you were born with that ability.
Well, yeah. And we're looking at the players too. The ones that are pros they're at the tippy top. So yes, their body was a gift to them for the sport.
Yeah,
that they're
and then a
playing.
lot of the really elite like golfers out there are elite in spite of like what they do in the gym too. Like I've seen tons of these guys come into the gym and like, you know, and I watch their workouts and stuff like that, or I watch them on Instagram and like I'm not blown away by what they're doing. Like I don't actually think it's going to make them that much better at golf. But you know, when they were good at golf, they were good when they were like 8 and 9 years old too.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
So they were winning state, you know, like some of the, and it's mainly the girls, like the men you don't see this as much, but like, you know, if they were playing in US Opens when they were 14 years old, they were probably always going to be good at golf.
Yeah.
And your job as a trainer would be to not fuck them up.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be good no matter what.
Yeah, keep them balanced from the repetitive movements of golf.
And that's how I feel about one of my athletes. Like you know, he's younger and he's really good at golf. Like he is really, really good. And he was really good before he ever lifted a weight. He's just going to be that much better now that he does.
Yes.
So my job's just to help him optimize his performance.
Yeah,
because he would be great in spite of it too.
Totally.
But he's going to be greater.
I know.
So.
He's really gifted. It's so cool to see him just literally like month after month get better and better and better. It's so wild.
So now we want to shift gears a little bit, talk about the bodybuilding.
Sure.
The golfers that want to do bodybuilding.
And tell us all about
the Derek Zoolander version of it. So, yeah, I think we kind of hit on this a couple weeks ago, and I'm really excited. Should I say who we're having next week as our special guest?
Sure.
So next week we're having Dr. Jeff. He's a bodybuilder, physical therapist, TPI certified. I need to get his full background before I butcher it, but yeah, there's
he
some.
He sent me his bio. We'll
he
have
did.
It on lock
So he had a few more things on there, I'm sure, but you know that's the 3 things I know him by.
He's competed in CrossFit. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's athletic as fuck, but he's also now going for his pro card.
Yeah, in bodybuilding. So like he's a real bodybuilder that gets up on stage and poses and flexes and competes. So I think there's a big distinction between like people that just do bodybuilding workouts and people like him that, you know, when we get him on video, you'll see he is massive.
He's massive and he's an
ripped.
athlete.
Yeah, and he's an athlete too, but he
athlete.
like, you know, now he's just jacked. Like
He
he's
is.
really jacked, and he's like, and then
He
you
is.
know he's a physical therapist and chiropractor, and when he puts his hands on you, you're like, dude, this guy's gonna fucking break me in half.
No, but he's also
but
like
he's gentle.
the
He's
sweetest,
a very
gentle
sweet
giant.
man.
He's obsessed
Yeah.
with squat.
Yeah. He's a great guy. So we're going to talk about bodybuilding next week too.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of a theme, but you know, I've seen a lot, like bodybuilding is definitely trending. I think it's making a little comeback. There's been some documentaries about it. I don't know if that's why, like the Arnold documentary just came out. Like, so I mean, and I've seen it. Like we go to a gym now, there's a lot of bodybuilders.
Yep.
And I don't think I've told you this, but there's a guy there who was literally a bodybuilder when I was a trainer at Gold's years and years and years ago, and he's an older guy and he's still in there just
At our
going
gym
nuts.
now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm trying to marry the two, like, you know, golf and bodybuilding. And there's just a few things, like, you know, and then I've got a lot of feedback today from people on Instagram, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine, just work on your flexibility. I'm like, yeah, but, like, I want to really, like, dive into, like, the bodybuilding. Like, I want to do it where, like, if you're hardcore enough into your nutrition and bodybuilding, you could, like, try to go up on stage one day with a program that I'm going to write and then still go play golf. Like, I want to know if that can be done. If you can, like, it's a difference between, like, just half-ass doing it and, like, I'm going to write a program that if you really want to do it, you could, like, go all the way with it. But if you kind of, you could fall, you could, like, shoot for the moon and land amongst the stars kind of thing. Like, you don't have to go that far. But I want to kind of use all the techniques that they do. Like, it's not just going to be like, oh, we're going to do 3 sets of 10 because that's your typical hypertrophy range. Like, there's a lot more out there right now that you can learn about bodybuilding, like hard sets and, like, you know, taking reps to failure, doing drop sets. And I want to ask Jeff about some of this stuff too. I'm going to kind of pick his brain on this. But
100%.
There is a lot more to it than just doing 3 sets of 10 and banging out a chest and triceps day.
100%.
And I want to be able to figure out how I can put it into a program where people can still go practice golf and still, like, you know, get your mobility and still, like, get, you know, some explosive power in there and rotation with a manageable split. It's more than what people are thinking. Like, when I just put it out there, like, golf or bodybuilding, like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, no, like, there's a lot that you have to consider into this.
No, I love it. I'm really here for the enthusiasm, and I think that there's actually a need for this because it's like you said, there are some half-assed stuff out there that you could find or whatever,
Yeah.
and like add a stretch at the end of a bodybuilding workout or something.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm here for. No, we're not doing that.
No,
we're
we're
gonna
here for the-
there's gonna be something solid that's gonna come out of this.
Well, obviously, too, my theme of the week is bodybuilding. I'm also working on increasing my gluteus maximus size, so I'm here for this program.
I'm here for you
it.
increasing the gluteus maximus size too. I'm gonna enjoy that.
I just feel like, bodybuilding, I'll be honest, like for the people that are listening that maybe are like, fuck that, or that are more performance, because I know that those people are out there too. And
Well, I got plenty of other programs for that too.
Well, I know that. Well, A, we have programs for that.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. But B, this is also like a theme of ours that we talk about a lot, is like doing things that you don't want to do. And this applies to everybody. Like just because it's a workout doesn't mean that like every fitness person likes to go do it. Like I do not like bodybuilding. I do not like bicep curling. I do not like tricep extensions. I don't give a fuck about leg curls. Like I don't care. But then, like, this week I'm, like, looking at myself in my video playback. And again, body love all the time. Don't care. Like, have a decent relationship with my body. But I'm like, fuck, my hamstrings are, like, sticking out further than my ass.
Is it that intense?
I feel like it is. I mean, I don't know. So it's just funny because it's like, then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. This is like a bodybuilding thing where you're, like, wanting to specifically focus on a muscle group. Whereas before, it's really not been, like, something that I'm focused on. But it's like, okay, like maybe there are some things I could do as a quad dominant individual too. Just I think from the running and the lunging and the things that I've always done over and over and over again, cycling. I think that it's helpful to work on something that you're not necessarily strong at. So this is again like for people that are maybe like their mobility is shit and they really avoid it all the time. You might want to get our mobility program. Like these are things that like truly in the long run are going to pay off, because if we keep kind of doing the same type of programming over and over and over again, we are going to probably kind of have either burn out or just have some imbalances like down the line.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's, now that I've been doing it for, I think like 2 weeks.
Like a week and a half.
And I'm just like kind of experimenting and dabbling and things like that, and like writing a workout and like, do it again and see how it feels. And like, I'm just worried about like soreness and so many different things. But, it's like the motivation level, like I love it. Like, I've been doing like my lift heavy swing fast workouts for like years now, like several years. I've been writing these like similar style workouts. Of course they're different. I changed the formats around, but it's mobility, strength, power, a little conditioning at the end. And, lately I've just found it hard to like kind of push myself like during the conditioning piece, like the way I've written it and designed it to be. Just because when you work out by yourself, all the time, like, I don't know, like I just kind of need that little like boost of energy maybe sometimes. And this is all me, like this isn't like other people, like. And then so like I found that, okay, let me switch it up. And now I'm like, when I'm getting into like my like bodybuilding, like pushing it or something like that, when I'm hitting like a set of 12 and like I'm really like focusing on like getting like several like really hard reps at the end, is like kind of like where I'm focusing right now, is like making my last like 5 reps like really hard, so that way it can like spark that hypertrophy. Like I get into it, I'm like, like it's fun.
You're going to have to teach me how to like find what that is. I mean, I can push my body really hard. That's not the problem. I think it's just like, yeah, maybe like pushing to failure. That's not something that I'm necessarily doing in my training. I can push into a shit ton of volume and like lift weights for 2 hours, but like knowing how to, it's a totally different type of training is all I'm saying. And I'm looking forward to like, I'm already tapping into that. I've already started to do a little bit of mine too. And it's different. Also like resting in between sets differently.
Yeah.
Slowing that down is really important. So I'm trying to time myself better. Yeah. And like truly be true to it. Yeah. I usually do look at my watch and like try to keep to a certain cadence, but like it's a shift. It's just all really different. It's hard. So I think it's important to just acknowledge that for people that are like, right, oh man, this is different, or I don't want to do this. Like I get it. Like we get it. It's a shift, and it takes a minute to like get into your new routine. And I think that I almost like when you don't like something at first, because it's like, okay. It's like some of the stuff we've been doing in business. It's like, fuck, man, I don't want to learn this new thing again every week. Like, this is like so frustrating and so hard. But then it's like, whoosh, just unlocked like a whole new like thing. Right. And it's like, whoa, we've been training for so long. There's still so many things to learn from training. It's wild. Yeah.
And then you just like hear like some wild stuff that's out there. Like, I never would have found this out, the internet, social media. It's like, there are guys out there that believe that you shouldn't use free weights. That like machines are all you need, right? So I'm like, and that was like a very like big no-no for me for a very long time. I was like, fuck machines. Like I ran a gym in DC. Like I got hell from the members because I decided that I really fought for like getting us a rig and like more squat racks in there. And the trade-off was I had to get rid of like almost all of the machines. And people came up to me like, whose stupid idea was this? Get rid of all these machines. I was like, it was mine. And, I had to sit there and take it and all this kind of stuff. But then, I had just as many people who were really happy about that. But, so like there's guys out there that think, machines are super functional and this and that. And I'm like, I'm still not a believer, but I don't know. I got a few videos of me using machines recently. So I'm trying, like, I want to be open-minded, like, about as much stuff as I possibly can that has like good reasoning behind it. Like if you tell me something and it makes sense, I'm not someone that's like, hang on, let me go like research that again. Like if you say something and you have a logical reason, like I read Ripeto's book and you read it and it makes total fucking sense. And now there's people out there that dispute all the stuff he says, but I read it, I liked it, it made sense to me, I tried it, it worked. So like if the same thing happens with whatever the hell this guy's saying, I don't think I'll ever be able to totally like, I will never, I will never like not use free weights. I love them and I find them way more functional. But I'll try. I'll use a few machines and see if they work. How for whatever my desired performance goal is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fascinating. Like, but there are still some things out there like the Bosu ball. Like I'm pretty set against the Bosu ball.
Well,
not using the Bosu ball.
If anybody wants to go back, it was like episode 10 or 11 of like exercises to legitimately not do in the gym. And I think the whole theme was Bosu ball.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to that one. There's of course context there, but no, I mean, again, like, and I applaud you for being open-minded and doing the machines. I think anybody who's absolute one way or the other, it's like only meat, no vegetables, only vegetables, no meat. It's like that whole thing. It's like, all right, like that's probably neither of those people are probably correct.
Right.
Even though we live in this world of extremes now, but of course there's value in machines. Of course, if you're nursing an injury and you have more stability on a machine. Of course, if you're an older athlete and you're wanting to still get a good workout in that's a little bit more stable, of course machines have a shit ton of value.
Right.
Like, of course they do. Like, legitimately.
Yeah.
There's just so much nuance, and I think there's also just a lot of people too that misuse the machines. Like anything, like any other exercise, and they can make them easy or cheat them or all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a ton of value, and we should have Brian Bornstein on. He could talk through every machine angle.
Let's get Brian Bornstein.
Oh my god! I mean, he is
Can we make
so
that happen?
next level beyond. You two could probably just riff on your own, and I would just be like the producer of the show at that point with squad off to the side. But
well, I mean, I'm still trying to learn so much too. It's like I was the trainer for a long time, and I think there's something you got to look at. Like there's like really good like program writers and there's like really good like trainers. Like I was the hands-on trainer, I was the fitness instructor, like I was in front of leading group classes and stuff like that. That's where I really shined for a long time. I'll toot my own horn there a little bit. That's where I did my best. Like I was really good with people, explaining how to do movements. And for the longest time, like I used Ripeto's book, like starting what's it called?
Starting Strength.
Well, Starting Strength is the book. Then he had another one for practical programming. Was what it was called. And I pulled programming out of there for years and used it for people because it's great. So basically I was just using it, and I bought his book, I paid for his stuff, which if you're going to use someone's stuff, you should pay for it or ask them or whatever it is you're going to do. But anyways, and that's what I used for years. And I was just got really good at just talking to people and explaining how to do these movements and so on and so forth. So you kind of like are not the super program writer. And now I'm transitioning into spending all my time just writing programs and learning about programming. So that's why I'm excited to talk to Jeff, like see what he does. Like he's super smart about what he does in the gym. Brian Bornstein would be insane because he's very, very into all the stuff. He's way smarter than I'll ever be. So that could be, I would just sit there and listen to him and ask. I'd have to have like a notes and like ask him a bunch of questions, but
same. He's
like there'd be value. I mean, like again, like and these two guys like really like focus on bodybuilding and things. And Brian was like a CrossFit guy too, so strength, all that kind of stuff. They don't, in golf they know. I mean, Jeff's TPI, and Brian knows everything about the body, so he'd easily be able to tell me how golfers could do some bodybuilding stuff. But
I believe he was a baseball guy. I can't remember
there we go.
I can't remember his previous sport of choice. Previous to like his CrossFit and all that stuff, but I feel like it was baseball, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. But then the biggest element, I think that there's been a few drawbacks of why I've never really wanted to dabble with bodybuilding with like mainly with like the general pop and like the big public and stuff like that, is like that how you look, it just comes down to so much, this is what you do, is like comes down to your nutrition.
It does.
Like, so you can do the best bodybuilding workout in the world, but if you eat like shit, like that's not really gonna matter.
That's right.
And then
and
then at the
that's
same
for
time,
any
like what if,
workout,
but so that's why I've kind of like designed like lift heavy, swing fast. Like, yes, we have a nutrition component that we offer with the program, but at the same time, it's like if you do eat like shit, like this program is still gonna make you better. Like, you could drink and eat like crap at the golf course every weekend, but you're still gonna be stronger and more mobile and powerful if you follow this program.
Yep.
You're just probably not gonna look any different.
That's right.
So
nutrition always, I feel like we always end on that, is like that's the theme. But I mean, that's what bodybuilders legitimately do best. That's their bread and butter.
Oh yeah, that's the hard part.
That's like, and I don't even know the first thing about coaching a bodybuilder on nutrition. I mean,
Like, could you
they're next
imagine like
level.
how, like when you're like getting stage ready, like and it's coming down to like the last few weeks and you're cutting calories like insane, and then they don't even like drink water.
Doing 15,000 steps a day and all that weird stuff. Like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what
And
they
they
do.
manipulate their sodium intake, and
They do.
They eat a lot of sodium, then they don't eat sodium at all, and like
They
it's
do.
just it's wild what they do.
It's wild what they do. But yeah, we'll look forward to talking to Jeff about that stuff next week. But
Fun stuff.
yeah.
What can't you let go? Or what are you obsessed with? Shit, I just stole it from the. That's
What-
where we got it from. What are you obsessed with this week?
Oh, what am I obsessed with? I don't know. I think I'm obsessed with Old Bay chicken thighs.
Tell us about the Old Bay, because not everyone knows about Old Bay.
I mean, most people know about Old Bay, but when we
Not here in Oklahoma.
we went back east for 3 weeks, and right at the end of our trip, we had Old Bay with my aunt and uncle for breakfast on our eggs, and I think it was like.
Was that the only time we had Old Bay?
No, of course we had it other times, but that was, for me, that was the moment where I was like, we need to start cooking more with Old Bay. Like, this is fucking bomb. Like, why don't we have any in our house? It's stupid. And for me, like, honestly, I have had it for so long, since I was day 0 old. So it's like, just, I don't even think about it. But then it's like, oh yeah, we haven't really ever had that around. Like, we should probably reintroduce that. And so we got the air fryer, and we've been cooking those bad boys basically every single day. And they're awesome.
Every single day.
They're awesome. They're so easy and they're awesome. Big fan.
You're a big fan of air fryers. I don't know how I lived 36 years without an air fryer.
Well,
It's a game changer.
game changer. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We moved around a lot before we moved here, so we definitely didn't like have a bunch of appliances that we were carrying around with us everywhere. So
Yeah, we are stocked on appliances in
we're
this
good.
house.
We're fucking
And we
good.
use them all every single day.
What are you obsessed with?
I mean, I feel like I need to talk about the Open. Like this podcast is being
God.
recorded 2 days after the Open Championship finished. And, it was a sleeper. Like, a lot of people were bummed. Like, it wasn't exciting at the end. And, they're like, oh, Brian Harmon's, like, not that exciting. He does his bunch of fucking waggles up there. He's got the crazy waggle counter. And that guy's did the one where it's
video.
like, he's waggled as long as The Godfather Part 2 and Titanic.
Sorry, but that was so funny.
He
I
had
watched that like
he had that
3
waggle.
times.
He's like, he's waggled like 100,000 times, like by the end of the weekend or something. But anyways, like, people gave him a lot of shit, and like he finally said, like in one of the interviews, I want to hear what else like he got heckled with, because the British fans like gave him a hard time, like because he's an American and he was kicking everyone's ass, like so. Like,
He was by a lot. The whole
and
weekend.
people are like, oh, it's boring, but and then they give Brian Harmon a shit about it. It's like, it's not his fault he kicked everyone's ass.
That's right.
Like, it's Rory and Fleetwoods and Straka's and all. It's their fault that they couldn't come up and catch him.
That's
that
right.
The little dude was just whooping their ass.
That's right.
It's not his fault. But did you hear that the guy, and I'm sure he had like it had to be a British guy, like with his accent, like being like, "Hey Harmon, you don't have the stones for this, man."
That's Irish.
Irish, whatever the
That's
fuck.
Irish.
But like whatever the British accent is, like maybe it was an Irish guy. Who knows?
I'm
They're not
telling you,
far.
I said it was one of Rory's like second removed cousins
Yeah.
from Northern Ireland.
It's
that
like,
was,
you don't have the
like,
stones for this, like I don't think we'd say that. We'd say balls in the U.S., right? Like, we wouldn't say
Yeah, nobody
stones.
says stones.
Yeah, but I thought it was great, and like I guess that like fired him up, and he was like, oh, you know what? I do have the stones for this. We didn't say that, but he was like,
He's
you know
like,
what?
I'm gonna waggle some fucking.
Yeah, I'm gonna
stones
wag.
my whole
Yeah, I'll
life.
show you some stones. I'll waggle a stone right in your head. But like it was awesome. Like, I mean, yeah, it was a bummer that it wasn't exciting at the end. But it was cool to watch. Someone play. Like, he putted lights out. Like, in where this big thing in golf is like drive for show, putt for dough. Which if you read Mark Brody's book, Every Shot Counts. Like, you actually do drive for both. But anyways, like he was lights out with the putter, and he's still not like a lot of golfers out there is like, well, look at him, he did it, and he doesn't hit it that far. It's like he still hits it like his average is like 296 yards.
Right.
So like
everybody STFU.
Yeah, like most of the guys, if you go play if you're a rec golfer, like you probably hit it like 230. Like let's be real, like,
Correct.
296 on average would be crushing everyone you meet on the golf course.
Right.
So like let's not act like that's short. But it was. I mean, he's short, but so am I, and it was awesome.
Well, good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I didn't really watch it much. I honestly couldn't stand the waggles. I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't really get into it, but I just also.
Well, it was amazing. It's the waggles and the quick like looks, and
right,
like
it
for
just
me,
seems energy sucking to me.
Like I'm gonna try. Like if you try that, like that's such a fast look. Like you got to process like information like so fast. Like quick look back. Like it's almost like a pitcher like checking the runner like at first base or something. Like his head was like moved that fast, and I'd be like, "Fuck, I'm gonna get dizzy. Like where's my ball? Where am I hitting? Like what am I doing?" But it was cool.
Yeah, wild. Well, I mean, good for him. He won fair and square by a lot. No questions asked.
I would love for him to like say like where he came up with this like pre-shot routine. Like why do you waggle and do this stuff so much?
I want all of them to talk about it. Jordan Spieth's got weird shit. There's a lot of them.
They all do their weird stuff.
I want to know about where and why, and they try to get rid of it, and then they don't, and they just end up. They're like, oh shit, I've been doing this for 20 years. Like it's wild.
Yeah, but he kicked ass. He's an American, and but like it's funny. Like people like gave him shit like, oh, it was boring, and like it's his fault. Like no,
not his
it's
fault.
everyone else's fault for not playing better.
Totally. But anyway, I think this is a good episode, a good place to wrap up. Bodybuilding, golf, here we come.
Be on the lookout. Give me some feedback too. Like this is an interesting topic, and for some reason a lot of people are interested in it. So I'd love to hear feedback on why you do it and how what you've seen that's successful, because I definitely want to create a golf bodybuilding hybrid program, I guess we could call it.
Yeah, we'll come up with a good name eventually, but that's probably close to where it'll be at. But
yeah,
find us on the channels.
Yeah, all the social medias, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the
Cody
Facebooks.
Wescott Golf on Instagram, Facebook, on Twitter, on Threads. We're on the YouTubes, Cody Wescott Golf. Give us a shout at Shoot It Straight Podcast. However you can get in touch with us, we will get in touch back with you.
For sure. Thank you.